Hi everyone. I thought I would just let you know that I'm making a little reading vlog of what I got going on this week. So a few things. I can't even believe it myself, but I am about to go have dinner with the one and only Rebecca Eats Books, if you can even believe it. Her life randomly brought her to Seattle for a short amount of time, so we're gonna go have dinner. I'm so excited. I'm sure it's gonna be fun and full of lovely bookish conversation. She truly is the sweetest. So very much looking forward to that. I am currently reading All Down Darkness Wide by Sean Hewitt. This is a new memoir that just came out, and it's about sort of his story with his own queerness, his partner who went through a deep depression, and kind of what it means to be queer and live in the margins and how it kind of affects your life. That's not even like the best way to put it, because it's just written with the most gorgeous language. It's just lovely. It's a really heartbreaking book so far, but really just well written. I have just been loving reading it, so definitely recommend this book. And then next, I'm probably gonna read a piece of female translated fiction for Women in Translation Month, which is August. It is August. And I'm even making a display for my library, so I'll kind of show you guys that as I work on it. Anyway, that's kind of what's going on. I will just show you some fun stuff as the fun stuff happens and the reading happens, because that's what a vlog is, right? Anyway, I'm gonna go hang out with Rebecca. How fun is my life? I can't even believe it. Okay, bye. Good morning, everybody. I just finished All Down Darkness Wide, and it was so beautiful. It's definitely a book that is about queerness, about hiding your queerness in a world that doesn't necessarily accept it. It's has a lot of themes about darkness, things that hide in the dark, and it calls upon a lot of old poets. This Swedish poet named Kyrene Boyle, and then another, I believe it was either Irish or English, I can't remember, but a poet named Hopkins, who were all, basically lived either double lives or were hiding big parts of themselves, so in being queer. And so it really talks about like the hidden, the dark, and I think Sean Hewitt is brilliant when it comes to metaphors. There's a lot of metaphors in this book, and he did a really good job, so highly recommend. Was a beautiful read, very heartbreaking, but really beautiful. And holy freckles, I got a lot of freckles on my face. Hi, lovelies. So as I updated you the other day, I finished All Down Darkness Wide by Sean Hewitt, which I really loved. Gave it a 4 out of 5. I definitely recommend it. And I am now reading Abigail by Magda Szabó. This is translated from Hungarian, and I believe it was written in maybe the 60s or 70s, but it follows a young girl who gets sent to a very strict religious boarding school during World War II in Hungary. And I love it so far. It's like giving me Neapolitan novel vibes. I don't know why. Maybe it's the young girl setting. It's also giving me like, you know, any story about a girl who gets sent away. So also Jane Eyre a little bit, you know, kind of stuck in this very like puritanical, terrible place. But yeah, it's just really good. And you can tell I love when stories are about young girls. It's just really, really magical so far. So I'm only like 80 pages in. I think I'm actually going to try and find an audio version so I can listen to it when I drive, because it is pretty plotty. And it's pretty dense too. It's only like 300 pages, but the pages have a pretty tiny print and small margins. It's pretty detailed. So, yeah, I'm going to try and like listen to it on audio as I drive. So maybe I'll get through it faster, but, yeah, so far, this is such a romp. So definitely recommend this. I mean, I'll let you know if I change my mind, but definitely recommend. Hi friends, I'd let you know that I'm almost done with Abigail by Magda Szabó, Hungarian author, translated to English by Len Ricks. And this book is so good. A girl who's about 14 who gets sent to this very strict boarding school in a part of Hungary she's never been to, in a city that's pretty remote. And the backstory is that it's World War II. Hungary is losing the war, and a lot of people are working to undermine the Germans, and her father is one of them. So he has to send her away to a boarding school to make sure that she stays safe. Loud car going down my street. Yeah, and she's very confused, doesn't know why she's getting sent away, thinks her father's getting remarried and doesn't want her. And then what follows is just all the best boarding school antics you could think of, pranks, traditions, bullying, teacher relationships, just like so good. It's so well written, and so far I am really, really enjoying it just as a plotty novel. Like, it's just a great novel. All around, it's like darkly funny and mysterious and like hopeful and heartbreaking. Like, it's just such a good book. So loving it so far, and I'll let you know more as I keep reading. Okay, bye. Hi everyone. I thought I'd just check in and let you know I'm about to put up my Women in Translation display for the library that I work at. And I wanted to just highlight some authors that I found when I was doing my research at the collection we have, and some of the translated women authors that I found that I feel like I don't hear many people talking about, and that I'm really excited to explore and read. So to get started, we have Sigrid Undset, who is a Norwegian author. And we don't have very many of her books. This is a book of short stories, and isn't this just the most beautiful cover? I don't know how old this edition is, but I think this came out, it looks like in 1959. She's a Norwegian author who published in the early 20th century, and what I really want to read by her is apparently she has these novels called Kristen Lavransdatter, and it's a trilogy of historical novels following a woman in the Middle Ages from like the beginning of her life until death. And I'm like, that sounds so interesting. There's so much stuff going on right now of like the Middle Ages are kind of being rewritten about. So I would be very, very curious to read a book written by a woman that follows a woman's perspective in the Middle Ages for over her whole life. Yeah, so that is Sigrid Undset, a Norwegian author from the early 20th century that I'm curious to know more about. Okay. Next one is Duong Tu Hong, and this is a Vietnamese author, and this is a book called Memories of Pure Spring, and she wrote some fiction and memoir, but all I know is from learning about this author, she's so badass. She was one of Vietnam's most popular writers, born in 1947. At age of 20, she led a communist youth brigade sent to the front to entertain troops during the war in Vietnam. Of her volunteer group of 40, she was one of 3 survivors. During China's 1979 attack on Vietnam, she became the first woman combatant present on the front lines to chronicle the conflict. She's a vocal advocate for human rights, and she was expelled from the Communist Party in 1989 for that advocation. She was imprisoned without trial for 7 months in 1999 for her political beliefs. Pretty much all of her works have been banned by the Vietnamese government. Pretty amazing. Very intense. And so, yeah, so she writes a lot of novels about living in Vietnam during the war. I really want to explore more of her works, and she just seems like the most badass person ever. So there you have it. All right. So an interesting work I found translated from French to English is The Memory at Bay, a novel by Evelyne Truot. Is a Haitian writer, and it was translated from French. So this is super interesting. So this book is about the wife of a terrible dictator and the kind of servant who's attending to her needs. And the servant has the secret that basically like your now deceased husband, this terrible dictator, was awful to my family, and because of him, my mother is dead. So it's kind of this like the 2 women exploring their different experiences under this dictator's regime. And it's supposed to be a retelling of Haiti's history under Duvalier. And yeah, this just looks really, really good. It came out, I think, somewhat recently. It feels new. So let's see, it looks like this one came out in 2015. Is when it was translated from English, but came out in 2010 originally in French. So yeah, also love the cover. So it's another one, another author to look out for. Okay, and then another one translated from French, but this is a Senegalese writer. This is by Mariama Ba. So Long a Letter has been recognized as one of Africa's 100 best books of the 20th century. This brief narrative, written as an extended letter, is a sequence of reminiscences, some wistful, some bitter, recounted by a recently widowed Senegalese school teacher. And it's a letter addressed to her lifelong friends. We love epistolary novels, is that what they're called? Novels written as letters. And yeah, it looks pretty short, but definitely curious to read this. So another author to read. Okay, another author in badass is Sahar Khalife, who is a Palestinian writer. And I found this while I was browsing up in the stacks where all of our translated fiction is. And because I was trying to find more original texts that were in Arabic that have been translated to English. And so let's just read about this author. She was born in 1941. She entered into a traditional arranged marriage at 18 and after 13 frustrating years left her husband and decided to begin writing. The only copy of her first novel was confiscated by Israeli authorities. Her second was published in Cairo, Egypt. Wild Thorns is her third and has been translated into Hebrew and French. So she now is a teacher at University of Iowa, at least whenever this was written, maybe not anymore. And she also works for Birzeit University in the West Bank. It's about Israel-occupied West Bank and following a young Palestinian who finds himself in a more complicated reality than he expected, and how his fellow citizens have adjusted to life under military rule. So yeah, I would love to learn more about this author and the work she has published. I think many of them are still banned to this day. And it looks like it was originally published in 1976. And then the English language translation was in 1985. So definitely older books for sure that I'm finding, but these seem like gems. Okay, and I just have two more. The next is Love in a Fallen City by Eileen Chang. And this was translated by Karen S. Kingsbury. This is a book of stories that combine an unsettled, probing, utterly contemporary sensibility, keenly alert to sexual politics and psychological ambiguity, with an intense lyricism that echoes the classics of Chinese literature. I would love to read, I haven't really read any Chinese authors. Yeah, I would love to possibly read this, and I always kind of love a New York Review of Books classic. Very good. Okay, and then the last one I have here is I, Rigoberta Menchú, and this is a piece of nonfiction that was translated from Spanish, and this is the life story of a Guatemalan peasant woman who was indigenous to Guatemala, and she reflects and recounts the tragic stories and experiences of Indian communities in Latin America. And it was published in the 80s, and she ended up winning the Nobel Peace Prize in the 90s for her work in advocating for indigenous communities. So, and this is a Verso Books publication, which is a pretty left-leaning publication that I really like. So yeah, I would love to read this as well. There's just so many books I've discovered in putting this display together that's been very, very fun. So of course I have some other things in display. I'll take a video of it once I put it together, but these were ones specifically that I found that were new to me, and I haven't really heard a lot of people talking about them, and I just wanted to share them with everybody. So I hope that you enjoy them, and I don't know, maybe pick one of them up to read and tell me what you think about it. And yeah, okay, bye. Hi friends, I'm in the car and I just finished Abigail. I was listening to it on audio. I did a little bit of both. And oh my gosh, this book is so lovely and good, and it was a romp, and it was sweet, and it gave me like Harry Potter without the She Who Must Not Be Named, who is the author of that. It gave me Jane Eyre vibes. It was just a lovely, like, heartbreaking World War II story. So good. Just so good. To the point where, like, I am pretty sure She Who Must Not Be Named got a lot of inspiration from this book for Harry Potter. Gosh, this book was just so good. I love stories written by adults, meant to be for adults, but where the main characters are children. Those kind of books always really stay with me, like, and especially when I was younger, I really liked those books because young adult books never really, like, there was just something that was always missing from them for me. And so growing up, my, like, 2 favorite books were To Kill a Mockingbird and Catcher in the Rye. You know, because they're both books written for adults but feature young children or young people as the main characters. And this book just has that whole vibe. It was so good. And it's, like, darkly funny at times. Like, I just highly recommend this. Yeah, one of the best books I've read this year for sure. Thank you to everybody who has recommended it. I don't know who you are. I've just seen it around. Also, I've just seen it kind of being highlighted recently for Women in Translation Month. Yeah, so everybody, go read Abigail. It's so good. And I'll probably end the vlog here, but just to let you know, I have a couple books I'm going to read next. To continue with Women in Translation Month, let's just keep this up. Permafrost by Eva Baltazar. This is translated from Catalan, I think. Yes. Yeah, and I know that this author is a very, like, thinky, internal female writer, so very excited for that. I know this has been raved about by so many people, so excited to read that. And then I also have Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan, and I know this was just longlisted for the Booker, and this is she's an Irish novelist, and it's pretty short. It's only like 120 pages or something. So we'll see. I've heard mixed reviews, but I figured it's short, so might as well give it a shot. But yeah, these are probably going to be my 2 next reads. Okay, I hope you guys liked this vlog. I'm about to go bowling and eat some Thai food, and it's Friday, so party there. But I hope everyone has a good weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.